Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavrinda He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gorangi Radhe Vrindaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chev Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Tulsi Radhe Gorukananda Bhagwan Ki
Jai.
Hello Srimad Bhagavatam Ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
So, Hare Krishna Nisha.
Hare Krishna everyone.
Hello Hare Krishna Prem sir, how are you?
Hare Krishna, Govind.
Hare Krishna, nice to see you. All right. So हम लोगों ने we started reading 10th scan, yeah, last week. We are on Adhyay first. And as we know, this whole 10th scan is devoted to Lord Sri Krishna, right? The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. That's what Sukadeva Goswami ji is talking about. And Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami ji कि कृष्ण भगवान के जन्म के बारे में, उन्होंने जो वृंदावन मथुरा में जो रूल किया है, द्वारिका में जो रूल किया है, सबके बारे में परीक्षित महाराज को जानना है. और as we know, Parikshit Maharaj was saved by Lord Sri Krishna himself, right? When he was in the womb of, कौन है parents परीक्षित महाराज के?
Uttara Abhimanyu.
Uttara and Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu, as we know, of course, son of Arjun. And Uttara के वॉम्ब में जब अभिमन्यु थे, परीक्षित महाराज थे, Ashwathama threw a Brahmastra to finish off the Pandu dynasty. And that's the time when Lord Sri Krishna saved him in the womb of Uttara. Yeah, that's why he's also known as Vishnu Rad. Yeah, that's how Parikshit Maharaj is known. And now what we are reading is Sukadeva Goswami ji reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And he's asking Sukadeva Goswami ji to tell everything about Lord Sri Krishna. So this is the shlok we are reading this week, where it mentioned the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who has full potency. Bhagwan Purusha, Sakshat Vasudev Grihe, Vasudev के यहाँ पे साक्षात भगवान पुरुष है पर है, साक्षात भगवान appear होंगे, right? Who has full potency, will personally appear as the son of Vasudev. Therefore, all the wives of the demigods will also appear in order to satisfy him. And this is when all the devatas, if you remember, like Prithvi, Mother Earth, Prithvi Mata went to Lord Brahma and she said, right, she cannot handle this weight because of all the sinful reactions going on earth. And that's when Lord Brahmaji, along with all the devatas, they go to Kshir Sagar. At Kshir Sagar, Brahmaji, along with all the devatas, are praying to Lord Vishnu. And that's when Lord Vishnu comes in the meditation of Lord Brahma. And what we are reading right now is what Lord Brahma is telling all the devatas. Yeah? What Lord Brahma is telling all the devatas to go and take a birth in Vrindavan. Yeah, nearby areas, because Lord Krishna is going to appear. And he's telling all the devatas along with their families, wives, everyone, go there. Yeah. So that's what he's saying. Vasudev grihe sakshat bhagwan purusha pare janishyate tati priyat sambhavantu sur istri hai. Sabke saath mein you take birth is what Lord Brahmaji is telling all the devas. Yeah? So we'll start reading from Shlok 24. Anilji.
वासुदेव कलानंता सहस्त्र बदनः स्वराट अग्रतो भविता देवो हरेय प्रिय चिकीर्षया. The foremost manifestation of Krishna is Sankarshan, who is known as Anant. He is the origin of all incarnations within this material world. Previous to the appearance of Lord Krishna, this original Sankarshan will appear as Baldev, just to please the Supreme Lord Krishna in his transcendental pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is what Lord Brahmaji is saying, that Vasudev Kala Ananta hai. Yeah, Ananta Dev. And as we know, Lord Balram, yeah, is Lord Sankarshan, right? If you know, there are 4 extensions of Lord Sri Krishna, which, if you remember, we have read, right? Do you remember who are those 4 extensions?
Yeah, one is Vasudev, then Pradyuman, then Aniruddha,
And
Sankarshan.
Yeah. So Pradyuman, Aniruddha, Sankarshan, and Vasudev. These are the 4 extensions of Lord Sri Krishna. And Lord Balram is extension of Lord Sankarshan himself. So that's what Lord Brahmaji is saying, that he will appear first. Yeah. Let's read the purport. Ajay.
Sri Baldev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He is equal in supremacy to Supreme Godhead. Yet, whenever Krishna appears, Sri Baldev appears as his brother, sometimes elder and sometimes younger. When Krishna appears, all his plenary expansions and other incarnations appear with him. This is elaborately explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This time, Baldev would appear before Krishna as Krishna's elder brother. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? As we know, in Ramayana, Lord Baldev appeared as
Lakshman.
Lakshmanji.
Lakshmanji, right? So, younger brother and now elder brother. Nisha?
विष्णोर माया भगवती यया सम्मोहितं जगत् अधिष्ठा प्रभुनाशेन कार्यार्थे संभविष्यति. The potency of the Lord, known as Vishnu Maya, who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will also appear with Lord Krishna. This potency, acting in different capacities, captivates all the worlds, both material and spiritual. At the request of her master, she will appear with her different potencies in order to execute the work of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, then also says Vishnu Maya, Bhagavati, right? And then there's a description of Yog Maya and then the materialistic Maya, right? But Prabhuna Anshena Karyarthe Sambhavishyati, in order to execute the work of the Lord, right? Maya will also appear. Nice purpose we'll read. Prem, so you can read, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Parasya Shaktir Vidha Shyute Sweet Vatara Upanishad 6.8. In the Vedas, it is said that the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are called by different names, such as Yog Maya and Mahamaya. Ultimately, however, the Lord's potency is one, exactly as electric potency is one, although it can act both to cool and to heat. The Lord's potency acts in both the spiritual and material worlds. In the spiritual world, the Lord's potency works as Yog Maya, and in the material world, the same potency works as Mahamaya, exactly as electricity works in both a heater and a cooler. In the material world, this potency working as Mahamaya acts upon the conditioned souls to deprive them more and more of devotional service. It is said, Yaya samohito jiva atmanam trigunam Matkam. In the material world, the conditioned soul thinks of himself as a product of three guna, the three modes of material nature. This is the bodily conception of life. Because of associating with the three gunas of the material potency, everyone identifies himself with his body. Someone is thinking he is a Brahmana, someone is a Kshatriya, and someone a Vaishya and Sudra. Actually, however, one is neither a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, Vaishya, or a Sudra. One is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, Mamai Vams. But because of being covered by the material energy Mahamaya, one identifies himself in these different ways. When the conditioned soul becomes liberated, however, he thinks himself of as eternal servant of Krishna, Jivera Swarupa Haya Krishnera Nitya Dasa. When he comes to that position, the same potency acting as Yogmaya increasingly helps him become purified and devote his energy to the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So the important part described here is how Mahamaya, right, acts upon the conditioned souls. Like we are all conditioned souls and we think we are this body or we are the product of this three gun, right? What are the three guns? The three modes of material nature?
Sato, Raju, Tamo.
Yeah, right. Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. The mode of goodness, mode of patience, yeah, and mode of ignorance. Yeah. And those three modes is what we are like. Sometimes you are acting in Satogun, sometimes you are acting in Rajogun, sometimes in Tamogun. And we are always in the leading to reaction of karmas because of that. But what is mentioned is once when the conditioned soul becomes liberated, and liberated basically means when you get situated as an eternal servant of Krishna, which is means you get into the devotional service of Lord Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Yeah, those 9 different ways we saw how we can get into the devotional service of Lord Sri Krishna, right? Remember those 9 ways?
Yeah. Isn't it?
Shravanam, Kirtanam,
Shravanam,
Yes.
Kirtanam,
Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu.
Sankhya.
Yeah. Vishnu Samarpanam, Padasevanam,
all the
Archanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam.
right, and Vandanam. So there are nine different ways we have been reading, right? Shravanam Kirtanam being the most important, right, in the beginning itself, where we do Shravan of chanting, we do Kirtan of chanting, we do reading of Srimad Bhagavatam and also listen to it, right? So when that happens, what happens is the Yog Maya takes over. From Mahamaya says Yog Maya takes over, and Yog Maya helps in becoming purifying and devoting energy. That's when we start devoting more energy to the service of the Lord. Like at least we try to do some Srimad Bhagavatam reading, right? For example, otherwise, most of the time you are doing something or else in this world, right? Some kind of karma is going on to satisfy whatever, which are all temporary. But at least, fortunately, at least we come together, we try to read Srimad Bhagavatam to some extent. So we start devoting more and more energy to the service of the Lord is what is mentioned here. Yeah. We'll continue reading this. Shiva Prabhu.
In either case, when the soul is conditioned or liberated, the Lord is supreme. As stated is in Bhagavad Gita 9.10, Maya Dhayaksena Prakriti Syuitasa Characharam. It is by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the material energy, Mahamaya, works upon the conditioned soul. Prakriti Kriya Manani Guneh Karmani Sharvasah Ahankara Vimudhatma Kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita to 3.27. Within conditioned life, no one has freedom, but because one is bewildered, being subject to the rule of Mahamaya, one foolishly thinks himself independent. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. But when the conditioned soul becomes liberated by executing devotional service, he is given a greater and greater chance to relish a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different transcendental statuses such as Dasya Rasa, Sakhya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, Madhuraya Rasa. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anilji?
Thus, the Lord's potency, Vishnu Maya, has two features, Avaranka and Anmukh. When the Lord appeared, his potency came with him and acted in different ways. She acted as Yoga Maya with Yasoda, Devaki, and other intimate relations of the Lord, and she acted in a different way with Kans, Salva, and other asuras. By the order of Lord Krishna, his potency Yogamaya came with him and exhibited different activities according to the time and circumstances. Karyat Rathe Sambhya Visyati. Yogamaya acted differently to execute different purposes desired by the Lord. As confirmed with Bhagavad Gita 9.13, Mahamanas tu mam parth Devim Prakritim Asarita. The Mahatmas who fully surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord as directed by Yogamaya, whereas the Duratmas, those who are devoid of devotional service, are directed by Mahamaya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so basically we understand the difference between Mahamaya and Yogamaya. How Mahamaya keeps us conditioned soul involved in all this Maya kind of thing, right? But the Yogamaya is when we start doing more and more devotional service, yeah, it starts setting up our relationship with Lord Sri Krishna. Yeah, what is mentioned. Ajay?
Shri Shuk Uvaч Ityadishyam Margadan Prajapati Patir Vibhu Ashwasya Cha Mahi Girbhi Swadhan Paramam Yayo. Sukdev Goswami continued, after thus advising the demigods and pacifying Mother Earth, the very powerful Lord Brahma, who is the master of all other Prajapatis and is therefore known as Prajapati, returned to his own abode, Brahmalok. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right. So as we know, this is Lord Brahma is speaking to all the devatas. Yeah. He's telling what's going to happen to all the devatas. And after telling all this, yeah, Prajapati Pati. Yeah, Prajapati Pati. That's how the Lord Brahma is referred as. He goes to Swadham Paramam Yayo. He went to his own abode. Yeah. And so he pacified Mother Earth and then all the devatas. And then he went back to his abode is what Sukdev Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj. Yeah. So Sukdev Goswami is telling this all the details about how Lord Sri Krishna appeared and why he appeared, right? So that's how he started this. Nisha?
शूरसेनो यदुपतिर् मथुरामावसनपुरीं माथुराश्चुरसेनांश्च विषयान् बुभुजे पुरा. Formerly, Surasen, the chief of Yadu dynasty, had gone to live in the city of Mathura. There he enjoyed the places known as Mathura and Surasena. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So all started with the Shursen, who is the chief of Yadu dynasty at that time, and he goes to live in the city of Mathura. Yeah. Okay.
राजधानी तथा सा पुतस्वर यादव भुजाम मथुरा भगवान यत नित्यम सन्निहितो हरि. Since that time, the city of Mathura had been the capital of all the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The city and district of Mathura are very intimately connected with Krishna, for Lord Krishna lives here eternally. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, like the Vrindavan and all the places near Mathura. Yeah. Shiva Prabhu.
Yeah. Tasyam tu karhichachao rirvasudeva kritodhvaha devkya surya sardham prayane rathmaruhat. Some time ago, Vasudev, who belonged to the demigod family or to the Surya dynasty, married Devaki. After the marriage, he mounted his chariot to return home with his newly married wife. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So Vasudev getting married to Devaki, yeah, and then he is returning back home.
So, how is Vasudev related to Sursena? The last one we talked about Sursena as a chief of Yadu dynasty, and then we are talking about Vasudeva.
Yeah, he's probably in the dynasty of Shursen.
Okay. Somewhere down the line, maybe not directly
Right.
father son kind of. Okay.
Right. He belongs to the Shur dynasty. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We can get the more details if required.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Sachin.
हरे कृष्ण. उग्रसेन सुतः कंसः स्वसुः प्रिय चिकीर्षया रश्मिन् हयानां जग्राह रौक्मे रथ शतैर्वृतः. Kamsa, the son of Ugrasena, in order to please his sister Devaki on the occasion of her marriage, took charge of the reins of the horses and became the chariot driver. He was surrounded by hundreds of golden chariots. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So the king Ugrasen, right? And the Kans was the son of King Ugrasen. Devaki is the daughter of King Ugrasen, right? As we know. And Devaki got married to Vasudev. And Devaki and Vasudev are going back to Mathura. And at that time, Kans is driving them back because Kans is the brother of Devaki. Yeah. चतुःशतं पारिर्ग्रह गजानां हेममालिनाम् अश्वानामयुक्तं सार्ध रथानां च त्रिषट्शतं दासीनां सुकुमारिणां द्वे सते सम्मङ्गलकृते दुहित्रे देवकः प्रादात् याने दुहित्रवत्सल. So Devaki's father, King Deva, was very much affectionate to his daughter. Therefore, while she and her husband were leaving home, he gave her a dowry of 400 elephants, nicely decorated with golden garlands. He also gave 10,000 horses, 1,800 chariots, and 200 very beautiful young mad servants, fully decorated with ornaments. Yeah? Anilji?
शङ्खतूर्य मृदङ्गश्च नेदुर्दुरन्दुभयः समं प्रयाणप्रक्रमे तात बरवध्यो sumangalam. O beloved son, Maharaj Parikshit, when the bride and bridegroom were ready to start, conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums all vibrated in concert for their auspicious departure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Sumangalam. So that's how Vasudeva and Devaki got married and started heading back. Ajay?
पथि प्रगृहिणम कंसभाभ्यास्य आश शरीरवाक अस्यास्वत्वामष्टमो गर्भो हंता याम वसु वह बुध अबुध. While Kans, controlling the reins of the horses, was driving the chariot along the way, an unembodied voice addressed him. You foolish rascal, the eighth child of the woman you are carrying will kill you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Kans was driving the chariot of Devaki and Vasudev. That's when the Akashvani happens that, hey, eighth child of Devaki is going to kill you, basically. Yeah, so we all know that. Nisha?
इत्युक्तः स खलः पापो भोजानां कुलपांसनः भगिनीं हन्तुमारब्धं खड्गपाणिः कचय अग्रहीत. Kans was condemned personality in the Bhoj dynasty because he was envious and sinful. Therefore, upon hearing this omen from the sky, he caught hold of his sister's hair with his left hand and took up his sword with his right hand to sever her head from the body. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the Akashvani hui, right? So Kans says, Papo Bhojanam Kul Pansanam. This is how Kans is described. He, of course, he took his sword in the hand to kill Devaki. Prem sir?
Tam jugupsita karmana narsimham nirpatvam vasudevo mahabhaga uvach parisattvanayan. Wanting to pacify Kamsa, who was so cruel and envious that he was shamelessly ready to kill his sister, the great soul Vasudev, who was to be the father of Krishna, spoke to him in the following words. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So at that time, Vasudev, Vasudevo Mahabhag, that's how Vasudev is referred as. He started talking to Kans. Yeah. Sridish, Prabhu?
Vasudeva, who was to be the father of Krishna, is described here as Mahabhago, a very upright and sober personality, because although Kansa was ready to kill Vasudev's wife, Vasudeva remained sober and unagitated. In a peaceful attitude, Vasudeva began to address Kansa by putting out reasonable arguments. Vasudeva was a great personality because he knew how to pacify a cruel person and how to forgive even the bitterest enemy. One who is fortunate is never caught, even by tigers or snakes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Second.
श्री वसुदेव उवाच श्लाघनीय गुणः शूरैर्भवान् भोजय शस्करः स कथं भगिनीं हन्यात् स्त्रियमुद्वाह पर्वणि. Vasudev said, "My dear brother-in-law Kamsa, you are the pride of your family, the Bhoja dynasty, and great heroes praise your qualities. How could such a qualified person as you kill a woman, your own sister, especially on the occasion of her marriage?" Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Vasudeva is trying to pacify Kans, and he's saying all these things to Kans, like how can you kill a woman, especially her sister. Okay. Anilji?
मृत्युर्जन्म वीर देहेन सह जायते अद्य बाब्द शतान्ते va mriturvai praninam dhruvaha. O great hero, one who takes birth is sure to die, for death is born with the body. One may die today or after hundreds of years, but death is sure for everything, every living entity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who is saying this?
Devji.
Vasudev, yeah? Vasudev is telling this to whom?
Kans.
Answer.
Kans, yeah? So he's trying to pacify Kans that, hey, don't kill Devaki. And he's saying that everyone who takes birth is sure to die, yeah? Mrityu janmavanta, veer dehena sahajayate, yeah? Everyone has to go through this. It doesn't matter when, yeah? Maybe after 100 of years, the death is sure for a living entity is what he's saying. Ajay?
Vasudev wanted to impress upon Kans that although Kans feared dying and therefore wanted to kill even a woman, he could not avoid death. Death is sure. Why then should Kans do something that would be detrimental to his reputation and that of his family, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2.27? Jatasya hi dhruvo mitur, dhruvam janma mitrasa cha, tasmad aparhare rithe na tvam sutitam arhasi. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain, and for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. One should not fear death. Rather, one should prepare oneself for the next birth. One should utilize one's time in this human form to end the process of birth and death. It is not that to save oneself from death, one should entangle oneself in sinful activities. This is not good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what is mentioned is like just to save oneself from whatever, right? No, not good to engage in the sinful activities. Rather than that, one should prepare oneself for the next birth, right? I think we all prepare for next year, next month, next day, right? And in 5 years, whatever. But we are not preparing ourselves for the next birth. This is what is mentioned here, right? It says, one who has taken his birth, death is certain. It says, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. And dhruvam janma mrityasya. And the one who is died is again going to take a birth, right? So this death and birth is continuous cycle till we surrender to Lord Sri Krishna. And that's why what is mentioned is one should prepare oneself for the next birth. And how should one prepare for? Saying one should utilize one's time in this human form, because in other forms of this material species, right? In other forms like animals and everything else, it's not easy to prepare oneself because you don't have that connection, you don't have that mental structure, right, which a human body gets to be associated with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this human form is, that's why it's very, very important that the human form time is utilized as what is mentioned. One's time in this human form on what? On ending the process of birth and death. And what is that process? How can you end?
Chanting and loving
Right.
service of Krishna
So that's a
by the
devotional process, right?
by the
devotional
bhakti process, yeah, Shravanam
bhakti
Kirtanam.
yoga, right?
Yeah.
That's again and again we talk about those 9 ways of doing devotional service. That's how we should utilize the time in the human form to end the process of birth and death, right? Rather than trying to do so many different things to just continue this life, right? Nisha?
देहे पंचत्वापन्ने देहि कर्मानुगो वशः देहान्तरमनुप्राप्य प्राक्तनं त्यजते वपुः. When the present body turns to dust and is again reduced to 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, the proprietor of the body, the living being automatically receives another body of material elements according to his fruitive activities. When the next body is obtained, he gives up the present body. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Again, like this is Vasudev, yeah, Vasudev talking to Kans.
Yes.
And he's trying to save Devaki. So he is explaining all this to Kans. And what is written here is Dehe Panch Tattva Mapne. Yeah. When the present body turns to dust. Yeah. Because it's also made up of those 5 elements. What are the 5 elements?
Earth, water, fire, air, and ether.
Right. Yeah. Prithvi, Akash, Jal, Vayu, and Agni. Yeah. So those are the 5 elements. And then at the time of death, again it merges into that. And then again, Dehantar Manu Praktanam. So again, automatically receives another body of material elements. How? Based on karma anugo avashay, based on the karmas, based on the fruitive activities. Yeah. That's how a next body is received. And again, a nice purpose. That's it. Hare Krishna, Jitendra. Let's read this. Shiva Prabhu.
This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, which presents the beginning of spiritual understanding. Dehino smin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara pratar deharas tatra na muhyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. A person or an animal is not the material body. Rather, the material body is the covering of the living being. Bhagavad Gita compares the body to a dress and elaborately explains how one changes dresses one after another. The same Vedic knowledge is confirmed here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And this is the Vedic knowledge also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 2.3. Oops, sorry. Yeah. And what's mentioned is Dehino ismin yatha dehe kumaram yonam jara. Jara is the old age. Like how we don't even realize in this body, right? How we are from the soul is passing from the boyhood to youth to old age. What is mentioned here is tatha dehantar prapte. Like at the soul passes into another body at death, right? And the self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change, is what is mentioned. Continue to read. Hare Krishna, Jitendra sir. Can you hear? Okay, Hare Krishna, Rasiksham Prabhu ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
पढ़ेंगे.
The living being, the soul is constantly changing bodies one after another. Even in the present life, the body changes from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age. Similarly, when the body is too old to continue, the living being gives up the body and by the law of nature automatically gets another body according to his fruitive activities, desires, and ambitions. The law of nature control this sequence, and therefore the law, as long as the living entity is under the control of the external material energy, the process of bodily change take place automatically according to one's fruitive activity. Vasudev therefore wants to impress upon Kamsa that if the committed this sinful act of killing a woman in his next life, he would certainly get a material body still more conditioned to the sufferings of the material existence. Thus, Vasudev advice comes not to commit sinful activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Same, sir. Same.
One who commits sinful activities because of ignorance, tamaguna, obtains a lower body. Karanam guna sango shya sad asadyoni janmasu. Bhagavad Gita 13.22. There are hundreds and thousands of different species of life. Why are there higher and lower bodies? One receives these bodies according to the contaminations of material nature. If in this life one is contaminated by the mode of ignorance and sinful activities, duskriti, in the next life by the laws of nature one will certainly get a body full of suffering. The laws of nature are not subservient to the whimsical desires of the conditioned soul. Our endeavor, therefore, should be to associate always with sattva guna and not indulge in rajo guna or tamo guna. Rajas tamo bandhav. Lusty desires and greed keep the living entity perpetually in ignorance and prevent him from being elevated to the platform of sattva guna or suddha sattva guna. One is advised to be situated in suddha sattva guna devotional service, for thus one is immune to the reactions of the three modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what is mentioned here is basically, as we know, one receives these bodies according to the contaminations of material nature. Like we have three gunas, right? We saw the three guns, satogun, tamogun, and rajogun. And based on those, by the laws of nature, one will certainly get a body, right? Depending on those karmas. So what is mentioned is Suddha Sattva Gun devotional service. For thus one is immune to the reactions of the three modes of the material nature. If you don't want to be in the reaction mode of all these karmas, then you get engaged in the Shuddha Sattva Gun or the devotional service. That's what is mentioned here. Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, there is difference between Satoguna and Suddha Satoguna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is. So, yeah. So, for example, right, if you are feeding the hungry, right, you are donating clothes, all that is Satogun, right? So, Satogun means you are doing good karma. So, you are going to get a good reaction of that. So, you will get better reaction of all these good karmas. But that doesn't end your cycle of birth and death. You will get a better body. You will get probably a higher planet the next birth, right? So that Satogun will take you there. But the Shuddha Satogun is where you are totally dedicated to Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Let's say Lord Sri Krishna. And then all the karmas which you are doing is not your karma. You are dedicating all the karmas. That's the Shuddha Satogun. Yeah. And we also have Rasiksham Prabhuji here if you want to have any comments, Prabhuji.
हाँ, आपने जो बोला वही है। जब हम कृष्ण भावनामृत में कोई भी कार्य करते हैं तो हमारे लिए होता नहीं, सब कृष्ण के लिए रहता है, तो कर्म के बंधन में वो बांधता नहीं है। तो यह शुद्ध सतोगुण का कर्म है। और उसमें एक चीज और ध्यान देने की है कि अगर कोई व्यक्ति से जाने अनजाने में कुछ असत कर्म हो जाता है, जो वो नहीं करना चाहता था, हो गया, तो वह शुभ अशुभ कर्म का फल जो है, जो किसी का शिकायत करता है तो अशुभ कर्म का फल उसको ट्रांसफर हो जाता है, और जो कभी जो किसी का प्रशंसा करता है तो शुभ कर्म का फल, अच्छे कर्म का फल उसको ट्रांसफर, तो वो कर्म लेस हो जाता है। और व्यक्ति शुद्ध सतोगुण मिश्रित व्यक्ति के पास कोई कर्म का बंधन नहीं रहता, और इस तरह से वो फ्री होकर के कृष्ण को प्राप्त कर लेता है।
Thank you, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, Shiva Prabhu, so that answers your question, right?
Yeah, I got it. Like, yeah, if we offer our karmas to Krishna, and then those actions are in Suddha Satoguna. But if we do some just good deeds, like, helping others, or
Right.
without any, like, just as a good karma, then it is Satoguna.
Correct. And that's good. That's all good, but you'll get good reactions, right? You'll get a better whatever. But still you are influenced by the three modes of material nature. Those are the three modes, right? Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. So, okay. Hare Krishna, Jitendra sir, can you hear now? आप म्यूट पे है. You are on mute. आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी. क्या? Go Sachin.
व्रजं स्थिष्ठन पदैकेन यथैकैकेन गच्छति यथा तृण जलौ कैवं देहि कर्म गतिं गतः. Just as a person traveling on the road rests one foot on the ground and then lifts the other, or as a worm on a vegetable transfers itself to one leaf and then gives up the previous one, the conditioned soul takes shelter of another body and then gives up the one he had before. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This Anilji.
This is the process of the soul's transmigration from one body to another. At the time of death, according to his his mental condition, the living being is carried by the subtle body, consisting of mind, intelligence, and ego, to another gross body. When higher authorities have decided what kind of gross body the living entity will have, he is forced to enter such a body, and thus he automatically gives up his previous body. Dull-minded persons who do not have the intelligence to understand this process of transmigration take for granted that when the gross body is finished, one's life is finished forever. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, but we know that there is a gross body. We saw that it's made up of that Panch Tattva, right? Then we know there is a shuttle body, Suksham Sharir, made up of mind, intelligence, and ego, right? Man, Ahankar, and Buddhi. Ajay?
स्वप्रे यथा पश्यति देहमिदश्रमां मनोरथेन नाभिनिविष्ट चेतनः दृष्टश्रुताभ्या मनुष्य चिन्तक प्रपद्यते तत् किमपि आत्मस्मृतिः. Having experienced a situation by seeing or hearing about it, one contemplates and speculates about that situation, and thus one surrenders to it, not considering his present body. Similarly, by mental adjustments, one dreams at night of living under different circumstances in different bodies and forgets his actual position. Under the same process, one gives up his present body and accepts another. Tatha dehantara prapatti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And again, who is speaking right now?
Vasud.
Vasudev, right? Vasudev is talking to Kans. Because Kans is ready to kill Devaki, because there is a Akashvani that eighth son of Devaki is going to kill Kans. And that's why he's ready to kill Devaki. And Kans is, of course, brother of Devaki. So Vasudev is explaining to Kans why not to kill Devaki. And then in the process, he's telling that everyone has to die anyways. Why do you want to do this bad karma? Right? That's what he's trying to explain. And then he's saying that like in the one dreams at night, right? We forget who are we in general. Like we forget the actual position. Same process, one gives up the present body and accepts another. Right? So at the Dehantar, Tatha Dehantar Prapti, in a similar fashion, one gets another body. Again, a nice purport. So we are going to read this. Nisha?
Transmigration of the soul is very clearly explained in this verse. One sometimes forgets his present body and thinks of his childhood body and a body of the past and of how one was playing, jumping, talking, and so on. When the material body is no longer workable, it becomes dust. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. But when the body again mixes with the five material elements earth, water, fire, air, and ether, the mind continues to work. The mind is the subtle substance in which the body is created, as we actually experience in our dreams and also when we are awake in contemplation. One must understand that the process of mental speculation develops a new type of body that does not actually exist. If one can understand the nature of the mind, mano, manorathena, and its thinking, feeling, willing, one can very easily understand how from the mind different types of bodies develop. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prem sir?
The Krishna consciousness movement therefore offers a process of transcendental activities wherein the mind is fully absorbed in affairs pertaining to Krishna. The presence of the soul is perceived by consciousness, and one must purify his consciousness from material to spiritual, or in other words, to Krishna consciousness. That which is spiritual is eternal, and that which is material is temporary. Without Krishna consciousness, one's consciousness is always absorbed in temporary things. For everyone, therefore, Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita 9.34, Man mana bhav mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru. One should always be absorbed in thought of Krishna. One should become his devotee. One should always engage in his service and worship him as the supreme great. And one should always offer him obeisances. In the material world, one is always a servant of the greater person, and in the spiritual world, our constitutional position is to serve the Supreme, this greatest Param Brahma. This is the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivera Swarupa Haya Krishnera Nitya Dasa, Madhya 20.108. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shiva Prabhu?
To act in Krishna consciousness is the perfection of life and the highest perfection of yoga. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 6.47, Yoginam api sarvesam mad gatendra ratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktamo mataha. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me and with great faith worshipping me in transcendental loving service is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The condition of a mind which flickers between sankalp and vikalp, accepting something and rejecting it, is very important in transferring the soul to another material body at the time of death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And what is so few important things which are mentioned here is to act in Krishna consciousness is what is the perfection of life. Yeah. The perfection of the human life is to act in Krishna consciousness, which is to get engaged in devotional service, right? And that is the highest perfection of yoga. And even Lord Krishna himself is saying in Bhagavad Gita, is what is mentioned here, is yoginam api sarvesham. Like among all the yogis, there are so many different types of yogis. But who is the api? Yeah, who is the who is the greatest? Yeah, who is the most intimately united with me? Same yuktatmo mata. Yuktatmo, yani who is most intimately united with me, right? That's Sri Krishna. right? And he is the highest of all. Api Sarvesham is the one who always abides in me with great faith. Yeah. Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam. The one who is doing the devotional service, जो मुझे भज रहा है पूरी श्रद्धा के साथ, पूरी faith के साथ, he is the greatest yogi, highest yogi, and he gets united with me. Yeah. Continue reading this. Sachin.
यम यम वापि स्मरन् भवाम त्यज्यते अन्ते कलेवरम तम तम इवैति कौन्तेय सदा तदभव भवितः. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. Bhagavad Gita 8.6. Therefore, one must train the mind in the system of Bhakti Yoga, as did Maharaj Ambarisa, who kept himself away always in Krishna consciousness. Sa vai mana Krishna padaravinda vindayo. One must fix the mind at the lotus feet of Krishna 24 hours a day. If the mind is fixed upon Krishna's lotus feet, the activities of other senses will be engaged in Krishna's service. Rishikesh, Ri- Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. To serve Rishikesh, the master of the senses, with purified senses, it called Bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, and of course we know this. We have heard this again and again, right? Yam yam vapi ishmaranam bhavam. Like whatever we are remembering at the time the body is quitting, right? Quitting this body. That's the state. Yeah. Tajyate ante kalevaram. Yeah. That's the state we'll attain without fail. So what is mentioned here is therefore one must train, because at the end of the life, nobody is going to remember Lord Sri Krishna. I'll be in so many different situations, who knows? But if the body is trained, if the mind is trained in the system Bhakti Yoga by doing all these different devotional service, right? And there's an example given of Maharaj Ambrish. We read about Maharaj Ambrish in the previous skand of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Then 24 hours a day you are engaged, you will always remember Krishna at the end, and then you'll be able to go back to Supreme Personality of Godhead, get away from this materialistic birth and death. Yeah. Shiksha Prabhuji?
Those who constantly engage in devotional service are situated in transcendental state, above the material modes of nature, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mam cha yoga vicharena bhakti yogi na sevate saguna samityanto samityantar brahma bhuya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in the circumstance, one at once transcends the modes of the material nature, and thus who comes to the level of Brahman. One must learn the secret of success from the Vedic literature, especially when the cream of Vedic knowledge is presented by Bhagavad Gita as it is. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very important. What is mentioned in this is the whole cream of Vedic literature is given in Bhagavad Gita, and we should learn from that, right? And it says like what is mentioned right here in the slok 14.26 is, if one engages in full devotional service, yeah, what happens? He transcends the modes of material nature. Right? Shiva Prabhu, you're asking about Satogun, but if you are totally in devotional service, you get above all the three guns, Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, and comes to the level of Brahma. Yeah, you do the self-realize. Now we are getting closer to time, so we are going to pause here. Very nice reading. We'll continue to read from here tomorrow. Yeah, but this is such a nice conversation of Vasudev with Kans to save Devaki, and then such a nice explanation, right? So we'll continue to read this. For now, happy Narsingh Jayanti to everyone. I don't know if you know, yesterday was Narsingh Bhagwan's Jayanti, right? You know Lord Narsingh Bhagwan, everyone knows that. How he appeared to save Prahlad Maharaj. So today we are going to do Narsingh Kavach. Yeah, it's around 8 to 9 minutes. So we'll hear very, very blissful, very, very in-depth Narsingh Kavach. Yeah, recorded. So
नृसिंहकवचं वक्ष्ये प्रह्लादेनोदितं पुरा सर्वरक्षाकरं पुण्यं सर्वोपद्रवनाशनं स्वाहा सर्वसम्पत्करं चैव स्वर्गमोक्षप्रदायकं ध्यात्वा नृसिंहं देवेशं हेमसिंहासनस्थितं स्वाहा विवृत्तास्यं त्रिनयनं शरदिन्दुसमप्रभं लक्ष्म्यालिङ्गितवामाङ्गं विभूतिविरूपाश्रितं स्वाहा चतुर्भुजं कोमलाङ्गं स्वर्णकुण्डलशोभितं श्रिया सुशोभितोरस्कं रत्नकेयूरमुद्रितं स्वाहा संकाशं पीतनिर्मलवाससम् इन्द्रादिसुरमौलिष्टस्फुरन्माणिक्यदीप्तिभिः स्वाहा लीलाहितपदन्वन्नं शङ्खचक्रादिहेतिभिः गरुत्मदा च विनयात् स्तूयमानं मुदा अन्वितं स्वाहा स्वरकमलसंवासं कृत्वा लुकवचं पठे नृसिंहो मे शिरः पातु लोकरक्षार्थसम्भवः स्वाहा सर्वगोपिस्तं भवासः फालं मे रक्षतु ध्वनिं नृसिंहो मे दृशौ पातु सोमसूर्याग्निलोचनः स्वाहा स्मृतिं मे पातु नृहरिः मुनिवर्यस्तुतिप्रियः नासं मे सिंहनासस्तु मुखं लक्ष्मीमुखप्रियः स्वाहा सर्वविद्याधिपः पातु नृसिंहो रसनां मम वक्त्रं पात्विन्दुवदनं सदा प्रह्लादवन्दितः स्वाहा नृसिंहः पातु मे कण्ठं स्कन्धो भूधरातकृत् दिव्यास्त्रशोभितभुजो नृसिंहः पातु मे भुजौ स्वाहा कलौ मे देववरदो नृसिंहः पातु सर्वतः हृदयं योगिसाध्यश्च निवासं पातु मे हरिः स्वाहा मध्यं पातु हिरण्याक्ष वक्षः कुक्षिविदारणः नाभिं मे पातु बृहरिः स्वनाभि ब्रह्म संस्तुतः स्वाहा ब्रह्माण्डकोटयः कट्यां यस्यासौ पातु मे कटिं गुह्यं मे पातु गुह्यानां मन्त्राणां गुह्यरूपधृ स्वाहा मनोभवः पातु जानुमीनररूपधृक् जङ्घे पातु धराभार हर्तायो सौर्यकेसरी स्वाहा सुरराज्यप्रदः पातु पादौ मे नृहरीश्वरः सहस्रशीर्षः पुरुषः पातु मे सर्वशस्त्रं स्वाहा महोग्रः पूर्वतः पातु महावीराग्रजोभितः महाविष्णु दक्षिणे तु महाज्वालस्तु नैऋतौ स्वाहा पश्चिमे पातु सर्वेषु दिशि मे सर्वतोमुखः सिंहः पातु वायव्यां सौम्यां भीषण विग्रह स्वाहा ईशान्यां पातु भद्रो मे सर्वमङ्गलदायकः संसारभयतः पातु मृत्योर्मृत्युर्मृगेसरी स्वाहा गर्जन्तं गर्जयन्तं निजभुजपटलं स्फोटयन्तं हरन्तं गर्जन्तं गर्जयन्तं निजभुजपटलं स्फोटयन्तं हरन्तं स्वाहा दिव्यन्तं तापयन्तं दिविभुविदितिजं क्षेपयन्तं क्षिपन्तं दिव्यन्तं तापयन्तं दिविभुविदितिजं क्षेपयन्तं क्षिपन्तं स्वाहा क्रन्दन्तं रोषयन्तं दिशि दिशि सततं संहरन्तं हरन्तं क्रन्दन्तं रोषयन्तं दिशि दिशि सततं संहरन्तं हरन्तं स्वाहा वीक्षन्तं घूर्णयन्तं करनिकरशतैर्दिव्यसिंहं नमामि वीक्षन्तं घूर्णयन्तं करनिकरशतैर्दिव्यसिंहं नमामि स्वाहा श्रीनरसिंह जय नरसिंह जय जय नरसिंह स्वाहा श्री नरसिंह 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 जय नरसिंह जय जय नरसिंह
बोलो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की जय
जय
This beautiful nursing kavach. I know there was some break, right, because of I think the speed, but I'm going to post the link on the group so you can hear it actually. So yeah, and it was sung in one of the temples in Bangalore. So, and we'll continue to read tomorrow, yeah, about Lord Sri Krishna. This is the most pious skand which we are reading right now, the 10th. This is the most auspicious one, right? So nice. I'll see you tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.